Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. The Telegraph are reporting that Ralph Rangnick is planning for new midfield signings at Manchester United, with the expectation that Paul Pogba will leave the club. Rangnick has already said that he will not try to convince Paul Pogba to stay. Paul Pogba's current contract at Man United expires next summer. Revert back to the start of the season, Pogba rejected a new Man United contract offer. Paul Pogba is out with a thigh injury at the moment. He's out for the rest of the year. He got the thigh injury in France training earlier on in the season. He has been a big miss for Man United because revert back towards the start of the season, Pogba was in scintillating form. He's got 7 assists so far in the league this season. Towards the end of last season, he produced good performances, but at one point last season he was out with a thigh injury for a while and he sustained some ankle injuries at Man United. Paul Pogba has had a long-running transfer saga. He's been relentlessly linked with Real Madrid. His former club Juventus have been in for him. Pogba did enjoy 4 good years with Juventus before he rejoined Man United. PSG, Barcelona and Inter Milan have been in for him before. Paul Pogba's agent, Mino Raiola, has been working hard now for quite some time to get his client a move away from the football club. This season is Pogba's 6th season at Man United since he rejoined. He's won 3 trophies at the club so far. Pogba is Manchester United's most expensive signing at the moment because Manchester United paid £89 million for him. Man United had Paul Pogba when he was a lot younger under the Ferguson era, but had to let him go due to limited appearances. Now, Manchester United's first team players have returned to training after the Carrington training ground reopened. Revert back to Monday, Manchester United shut their Carrington training ground due to COVID. And Manchester United's game against Brentford got postponed due to a COVID outbreak at Manchester United. It's unclear whether the game against Brighton at the weekend is going to go ahead or not. But yesterday it said Manchester United's game against Brighton is likely to be postponed after Brighton confirmed a COVID-19 outbreak. Ralph Rangnick, he's enjoyed a good start to his managerial career at Manchester United. So far he's unbeaten, and reflecting on the win against Norwich last weekend, that's back-to-back wins in the Premier League for Ralph Rangnick. Rangnick is Manchester United's interim manager until the end of the season. Then after that, he said Rangnick will take a consultancy role for a further 2 years. If Rangnick does well as the interim manager, there's a chance he'll get the Man United job on a permanent basis. Rangnick has been given a £100 million transfer budget for January. He can get quite a few players out of that. Now, you know the news on Antonio Rudiger. Manchester United are interested in signing Antonio Rudiger from Chelsea when his contract expires next summer. Sky Sports News did mention yesterday that Manchester United have entered the race for Rudiger. Rudiger reportedly rejected a contract extension offer at Chelsea. Real Madrid have also held talks with Antonio Rudiger. Real Madrid obviously want to get him on a free next summer. Bayern Munich and PSG have also expressed an interest. Antonio Rudiger has been at Chelsea since 2017. So he's been with them for like 5 years now. He's made 110 appearances in the Premier League for Chelsea. Chelsea paid around £29 million for him from Roma. Manchester United have also been interested in Frankie de Jong. Frankie de Jong's father did admit that Man United have a disadvantage in the transfer pursuit. And he did mention that there's 5 top European clubs that are in for de Jong. Frankie de Jong's at Barcelona. Barcelona got de Jong from Ajax back in 2019 for £65 million. Amadou Haidara, you know, he's been linked with Man United. Ralph Rangnick loves Amadou Haidara. Amadou Haidara has around a £33 million release clause. Rangnick knows the player well because Rangnick used to manage RB Leipzig. John McGinn was also mentioned earlier on in the season. Revert back to the other week. It said Jude Bellingham, Amadou Haidara and Calvin Phillips are key targets for Rangnick. And don't forget, Rangnick told bosses at Man United that their midfield is weak in his interview for the job. But if he heavily invests in January, Rangnick, I'm expecting him to succeed as Manchester United manager. Before Manchester United, Rangnick was the head of sports and development at Lokomotiv Moscow. Now, Ralph Rangnick is planning a big clear out next year. You know, Manchester United are going to get rid of a lot of players next year. Now, you know the news on Anthony Martial. Ralph Rangnick did reveal that he's not spoken with Martial. Rangnick told Martial to speak with him directly, you know, if he wants to leave. Now, revert back to last Friday, Martial's agent confirmed that Martial wants to leave Manchester United in January. Martial is demanding more game time. You know, he's not getting nowhere near enough game time at Man United. Martial's only started 2 games in the league so far this season. I think he's made 10 appearances in all competitions. I heard yesterday that Atletico Madrid are ready to offer a swap deal for Martial. I heard not so long ago that Newcastle are the favourites to sign him and Barcelona are also eyeing a move. Martial is currently out with injury at the moment. Martial's only enjoyed 1 good season at Man United. That was his debut season under Louis van Gaal. Martial's been at Manchester United for 6.5 years. He's got 3 years left on his contract. Martial scored 79 goals in 268 appearances in all competitions. Manchester United paid an initial fee of 36 million for Martial from Monaco. Edinson Cavani, I think he's also leaving the football club next year. I've been hearing that Juventus are interested in him. Barcelona are also keen on signing Cavani in January, but only for a modest price. Revert back to earlier on in the season, it said Cavani's interested in making a move to Barcelona. Cavani's actually out with injury at the moment. We'll revert back to earlier on in the season, he had an injury. Cavani initially lost his place in the team with the club re-signing Ronaldo last summer. You know, Manchester United got Cavani on a free transfer from PSG. You know, this season is Cavani's second full season at Man United. Cavani's current contract expires next summer. Cavani's got a good pedigree behind him. Look at the amount of silverware he won when he was at PSG. Jesse Lingard, he's set to leave next year. Not too sure where he's going though. The last time I read up it said Newcastle were interested in Lingard and Newcastle were preparing a contract offer. I heard earlier on this season that West Ham want to re-sign him. Well, at the second half of last season, Lingard enjoyed a 4-month loan spell with West Ham and he made an impact. And I heard earlier on this season that he wants to go abroad. Lingard doesn't really get in the team. He's only started 2 games this season. The BBC said earlier on this season, though, that Lingard's future is in doubt after talks over a new contract collapse. Lingard's contract at Man United expires next summer. If we sell him in January, I reckon we can get around £10 million for him. Lingard has been part of Manchester United for a long time. You know, risen up our academy and that, and he's had his good periods at Man United. He's also had his bad periods. Juan Mata, I think he's also leaving next year. Well, Mata's current contract at Man United expires next summer. Revert back to earlier on in the year, Juan Mata extended his contract for a further year. I can't understand why, because Mata doesn't really get in our team. Plus, he's lost that yard of pace and he's ageing up. But despite all of that, I reckon that he's had a good career at Man United. You know, Mata has made over 200 appearances in all competitions and he's scored over 50 goals. And he's been a long-serving player as well at Man United. He's been at Man United for 8 years now as Juan Mata. You know, Manchester United got him from Chelsea back in 2014 for around 40 million. Donny van de Beek, there's a good chance that he'll be leaving the club in January because Van de Beek doesn't get enough starts at Manchester United. I said the only way we can persuade Van de Beek to stay, and that's if he gets the opportunities he's been demanding under Rangnick. Because revert back to when we had Ole Solskjaer, you know, Van de Beek got nowhere near enough opportunities, and reflecting on that, he was very frustrated. You know, he's only scored 2 goals for the club, and Van de Beek's been a Man United player for over a year and a half now. This season's been Van de Beek's second full season at Man United. You know, Manchester United got Van de Beek for 40 million, with add-ons included. You know, got a contract with the club till 2025. There's an option of a further year, and he's versatile. He can play in 3 different roles. Matic, I think he's leaving as well next year. I've always had my reservations about Matic because he's always been a static midfielder and he's aging up. But despite that, you know, he has had his good games at United. Matic isn't one of our first choice midfielders, but he still seems to get his chances. And surprisingly enough, he's been ahead of Van de Beek in our midfield. Matic is the only predominant centre defensive mid that Man United have got. Matic has got a cold at the moment, by the way. Manchester United got Matic from Chelsea back in 2017 for around 40 million. Pogba, good chance he's leaving next year, like I mentioned. Telles and Dalot, I think they could be leaving next year. I'm expecting Jones and Bailly to leave next year. And Dean Henderson has confirmed that he wants a loan move away from Man United. Henderson doesn't really get in goal because revert back to last summer, De Gea reclaimed that number 1 spot back. Henderson's only made 2 appearances this season, but earlier on this season Henderson was out with COVID for a while. Towards the end of last season Henderson got the number 1 jersey, and to be fair, Henderson did well in a lot of the games he was in goal for last season. Revert back towards the start of last season, Henderson signed a 6-year contract to Man United, so reflecting on that, he committed his future to the club. And don't forget, before he enjoyed 2 successful loans with Sheffield, and he's had other loan spells before, so reflecting on that, he's gained experience. So there you go. But Manchester United have got very, very good players. You know, look who we've got in the team. You know, we've got Mason Greenwood. That's a talented player. Greenwood came on against Norwich last weekend. He played in the 1-1 draw against Young Boys. He scored a very good volley in that game, did Greenwood. It was a lovely cross by Luke Shaw to find Greenwood. Greenwood came on in the 1-0 win against Palace and got the assist for the Fred goal. He's done well, Greenwood, to be fair, since he's come back. You know, Greenwood at one point was out with COVID for a while. At one point, though, Greenwood went a while without scoring, but despite that, he's been a revelation since he broke into our senior squad. Greenwood has been in Man United senior squad for almost 3 years now, is it? Because he made his senior debut back in 2019. He's been a United player since the age of 7, so he's been part of the club for a long time. And last season, Greenwood signed a new 4-year contract. A lot of the time when Greenwood has started games, he's played on the right wing, but obviously a few times as well he's played up top. I think in our next game, Greenwood needs to start ahead of Rashford. You know, Rangnick needs to drop Rashford because Rashford's in very, very bad form. Well, Rashford, I think he is a good player overall, but he has enjoyed a lot of poor games since he recovered from that shoulder injury. No, Rashford hasn't been the same since he come back from that shoulder injury. Rashford was very poor against Norwich. He got dispossessed a lot. Rashford weren't that good against Crystal Palace the other week. I thought he was poor in the 3-2 win against Arsenal, but he still managed to get an assist in that game. You know, Rashford wasn't good in the first half away at Chelsea, but he improved in the second half. So yeah, you know, Rashford's been part of the club for a long time. He's been a United player since the age of 7, and he's been in our senior squad since 2016. Rashford's got a contract with the club until 2023. Manchester United have got the best player in the world overall in Cristiano Ronaldo. Ronaldo obviously scored the winner from the penalty last weekend against Norwich. Ronaldo won the penalty because he got dragged down by Max Aarons. Obviously Ronaldo now has 13 goals in all competitions since he re-signed for Man United, and he's got 802 goals in his career. Ronaldo could have had more than 1 goal against Norwich because he had a good chance towards the end from close range, put it over the bar, and he had a good chance in the first half against Norwich, but produced a good save from Tim Krul. Ronaldo has got a contract with Man United until 2023. There's an option of a further year. Ronaldo receives £480,000 a week, so he's the highest earner at Man United. He wears the number 7 shirt, and Man United got Ronaldo for around 19.8 million. Add-ons were included. Man United paid around 12.8 million up front. Revert back to October, Ronaldo got named Player of the Month, and revert back to September, he got named Premier League Player of the Month. So he's got back-to-back awards, and Ronaldo's won over 30 trophies in his playing career, including 5 Ballon d'Ors. Edison Cavani's also a good player as well. Bruno Fernandes, he's an exceptional player. He's one of the best players we've got, and he's certainly one of the best signings we've made since Ferguson retired. But I think Fernandes has endured a lot of poor games this season. And I'm shocked in that aspect because revert back to last season, Bruno Fernandes was superb. Fernandes was poor against Norwich last weekend. Got dispossessed too many times. Fernandes had chances in the 1-0 win against Crystal Palace, but he couldn't convert them, so his finishing was poor in that game. Fernandes didn't do too bad in the 3-2 win against Arsenal because he scored in that game, but it still wasn't his best performance. So there you go. I think Ralph Rangnick must consider dropping Bruno Fernandes as well as Marcus Rashford. Let me put into the equation though that Fernandes starts the vast majority of Man United's games, so reflecting on that, Fernandes will become fatigued. He's been a Manchester United player for almost 2 years. We got him from Sporting Lisbon back in January 2020. Earlier on this season, Fernandes made it clear that he wants to stay at Man United. And when he come to Man United, he said, "I've come to Manchester to win trophies." He's got a contract to Man United till 2025. There's an option of a further 12 months. Earlier on this season, there was talks about Fernandes extending his contract. Jaden Sancho, he's a decent player as well. Sancho was poor against Norwich last weekend, but despite that, I still think he looks a better player since Solskjaer got sacked. Sancho did well in the first half against Crystal Palace the other week, but he wasn't that good in the second half. He was exceptional in the games against Villarreal and Chelsea because he scored in both of them games. Sancho scored 2 goals for the club so far. Sancho's done nowhere near as well as a lot of United fans expected, but it does take some players time to settle in. But revert back to when we had Solskjaer, we couldn't get the best out of Sancho because Solskjaer was persistently playing him out of position. And there was quite a few games Sancho didn't even play under Solskjaer. Let me put that into the equation. Manchester United got Sancho in a deal worth 78 million with add-ons included. Man United paid around 73 million up front. Sancho's got a contract with the club till June 2026. There's an option of a further year. Sancho did endure 4 good years at Borussia Dortmund before he came to Man United. I think Donny van der Beek is also a good player, but I haven't had a great deal of a perception on him at Man United. Fred, I've been very impressed with him in recent weeks. Fred played very well against Norwich last weekend. He was our best player, I'd say. Fred played very well in the 1-0 win against Palace. He scored a stunning goal late on in that game. Wasn't only the goal against Palace why he was good, his overall performance was good. I think his movement was good, he kept the possession well, got in some good positions, and his passing was sublime. Fred also played well in the 3-2 win against Arsenal because he got an assist in that game and he won the penalty. And he did well in the 1-1 draw at Chelsea earlier on in the season. Don't forget he squandered a chance in that game that came from a mistake from the Chelsea goalkeeper. I don't think Fred's a good player overall, but he has done well in recent weeks like I mentioned. I'm hoping he can persist with these good performances. Manchester United got Fred for 50 million from Shakhtar Donetsk a few years ago now. I've heavily criticised Fred before. Paul Pogba, he's also a good player as well. He's not only a good player, he's an imperative player. I can't wait for him to come back as he has been a big miss, like I mentioned earlier on in this video. Alex Telles, he's a good left back, been playing quite a lot of football in recent weeks, obviously because Luke Shaw was out with a concussion. I don't think Telles though was too good against Norwich. He did have a good chance in the game from a free kick, it hit the crossbar. I thought Telles was far superior in the games against Crystal Palace, Arsenal and Chelsea than he was against Norwich. Earlier on this season, Telles had an injury. Manchester United brought Telles in to provide competition for Luke Shaw. Manchester United got Telles for 15.4 million, with add-ons included from Porto. Luke Shaw, I think he's a good left back overall, but hasn't really proven how good he can be so far this season. And I'm shocked in that aspect because last season Luke Shaw was superb. Luke Shaw did start the game against Young Boys the other week when it was 1-1, and he played well in that game. He got forward well, got in some good positions, and he got the assist for the Mason Greenwood goal. I'm sure as the season goes on, Luke Shaw will regain his form. Luke Shaw is injury prone, which is a concern. Shaw's been at Manchester United for around 8 years now, so he has been a long-serving player. Shaw's got under 2 years left on his current contract. Diego Dalot, he can play well when he wants to. Dalot's played a few games in recent weeks, obviously, because Bissaka's obviously had a few injuries. Bissaka's out of injury at the moment, and obviously had a hand injury the other week. Dalot, of course, played against Norwich last week and don't think he was too good, to be honest with you. Dalot was far superior against Crystal Palace and Arsenal, than he was against Norwich. Dalot got booked against Norwich and he was lucky not to be booked in the first half for the challenge on Josh Sargent. Dalot is our backup right back to Bissaka. Last season, Dalot had a loan spell with AC Milan, and reflecting on that, he gained some experience. Man United got Dalot around 3 years ago from Porto, paid around £19 million for him. I think Wan-Bissaka is a good right back defensively, but the attacking side of his game is not so good. So Wan-Bissaka, he's got to show more attacking intent, his positioning's got to improve as well, and his crossing's got to improve. But despite that, he's still one of the best right backs we've had since Gary Neville. Manchester United got Bissaka for around 50 million from Crystal Palace back in the summer of 2019. This season is his third full season at Man United. I think Eric Bailly is also a good centre-half. But I do think he's leaving Man United next year because Bailly doesn't get in the team enough. Well, Bailly lost his place in the team a while ago, didn't he? With the club signing Varane last summer, and for some reason Lindelof's been preferred to Bailly. Bailly obviously had to come on against Norwich last weekend because Lindelof obviously went off because he was suffering breathing problems and chest pains. Lindelof is okay. Ralph Rangnick confirmed that. Lindelof was seen by the club doctor. Bailly did start in the 1-1 draw against Young Boys the other week, and what a performance he put out in that game. Made some good clearances and some good blocks and that. Bailly's done well in all the games he's played in this season, apart from the game against Man City. My only element of concern about Bailly is injury prone, so in that aspect he's a liability. Towards the end of last season, Bailly signed a new contract with Man United till 2024. There's an option of a further year. Manchester United got Bailly from Villarreal back in 2016 for 30 million. So he's been with us now for like 5.5 years as Eric Bailly. Raphael Varane, he's a good centre-half as well. But Varane is out with a hamstring injury at the moment. He's close to returning now. Varane's endured 2 injuries since he signed for the club. He's got a hamstring injury now. Revert back to earlier on in the season, Varane had a groin injury. He was out with that groin injury for a few weeks. But he did well in quite a few of the games he played in before he got these injuries. Manchester United got Varane in a deal worth 41 million with add-ons included. Man United paid around 34 million up front. Varane's got a contract with Man United until 2025. There's an option of a further year. Varane's got a good pedigree behind him as a player. Look at the amount of silverware he won when he was at Real Madrid, and he's highly experienced. Harry Maguire, he's good when he wants to be, but hasn't really proven how good he can be at Man United. You know, he weren't that good against Norwich last weekend. He had a good headed chance from just outside the box, produced a good save from Krul. Maguire did well in the 1-0 win against Crystal Palace, but that was the best game he enjoyed for a while. Earlier on in the season, Maguire had a calf injury, and I don't think he's been the same since he come back from that calf injury. Towards the end of last season, Maguire had ligament damage in his ankle. Man United got Harry Maguire for 80 million, so he's the most expensive centre-half in the world at the moment and the second most expensive signing at the club. David De Gea, you know, he's a very, very good goalkeeper. He's back to his best now, De Gea. You know, he's done really well this season. He got man of the match for the game against Norwich last weekend. You know, he made some very good saves in that game to deny Timu Pukki, and he denied Kabak twice from 2 headed chances. Henderson's a good keeper as well. That Anthony Elanga, you know, he looks a good asset for the first team squad. And Amad Diallo. Oh, I did mention that he looks a good asset for the first team squad as well. So there you go. But Manchester United have sacked 4 permanent managers since Ferguson. You know, Man United sacked Moyes, Van Gaal, Mourinho, and over 3 weeks ago now, Manchester United sacked Ole Gunnar Solskjaer after almost 3 years in charge. Man United sacked Solskjaer after the 4-1 defeat to Watford. So anyway guys, that's everything to update with. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very soon.